When we take a look at Hilo Landfill has been operating for these last 30 or 40 years. That is closing. We have contracts out for the closure. As I've probably mentioned before, there are two aspects to closing a landfill. One is when you stop taking additional solid waste. The other is after that is done, you need to close it according to Department of Health rules and regulations to put an impermeable liner over the entire landfill. We are in the process of putting bids out for that closure. The landfill is about 40 acres, Hilo, and to give people perspective, that is like 40 football fields worth of land area that is going to have a synthetic cover put on like AstroTurf. So it's going to look green, but it's not going to be growing. And as you know, if you throw a stick in the air, it will sprout before it hits the ground. And in a landfill, growing things like trees and roots go down and penetrate impermeable liners, which is one of the main reasons we're doing an artificial liner or a cover on that landfill.
Interesting, because on the Kona side, the Kealakekee transfer station is in front of what used to be a landfill, and my recollection is, from looking at it, it's covered by real grass, is it not?
Yes, and we're in the process of dealing with different issues on there. Old landfills have a habit sometimes of combusting because there's gas that comes in there, and one of the reasons you put on impermeable liner is that you stop getting water into the landfill, and less water means there's going to be less breakdown and probably less gas generated. The process of closing a landfill has evolved since we closed the Kailua landfill. The Hilo landfill closure will be the first closure in Hawaii that is done with an artificial cover.
In the whole state?
In the whole state,
Oh,
yes.
Wow. You mentioned combustion. Is the Kealakekee landfill on fire underneath?
No.
Okay, just double checking.
Yes.
Because actually, in the past, I think it has been from time to time. Back to the Hilo landfill, one of the things you've mentioned in the past is that essentially any entity that closes a landfill has to manage it forever. And my question now is the county allocating the kind of money that is needed to maintain the Hilo landfill as required by EPA regulations and State Department of Health rules?
The short answer is yes. We have $20 million to close the landfill. There is a 30-year requirement to continue to monitor the landfill and to ensure that in that next 30 years that it is properly closed. That is an ongoing budget item for the county in anticipation of that requirement.
Bill Kucharski, clearly when the Hilo landfill is fully closed, and it still takes garbage to this day, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When it is closed, that means trash will still being generated, and it will all at this point go to the Pu'uanahulu landfill. There's been talk in the past that the H-Power plant on Oahu, which does take and burn garbage, has not always had enough garbage. Has there been any consideration of shipping trash to Oahu for use in the H-Power plant?
That's sort of a loaded question, because while there is no restriction on Oahu to receive trash from other jurisdictions, we have no plans to do that. We have no plans to ship our waste to H-Power, not at this point. We have adequate capacity at Pu'uanahulu, and unless Oahu wants to pay us for our waste stream, it would be more cost effective for us to properly dispose of that waste here.
When you say Pu'uanahulu has adequate capacity, how many years?
The estimates vary, but it's between 50 and 150 years at our current disposal rate.